Veni versus HeightN. That's gonna be sweet. Alright. Maybe my load's bad. Alright, up in the top right hand corner of Cloud Kingdom in the blue, it's gonna be HeightN. Down in the bottom left in the red. I've already told you he's in the red. That's how awake I am. It is gonna be Veni. Now Veni is one of those players who is really good, but he doesn't win much. Well, actually no, that's a lie. He did win the odd tournament a long while back, and I think he won week 8. I think last week's tournament he picked up. But other than that, he tends to just come top 4. But obviously top 4 is not bad at all. Veni is such a good player, I would not want to go up against him. And both players are actually going to go for the one den sort of play, which is pretty good. This is a big map. Obviously a remake of the original Cloud Kingdom. Now, HeightN we don't really know much about. I've seen him in chat a lot, and I reckon he's, like, from what I've seen of him, he's decent. But I don't have any tournament records to go by. So we'll see how that pans out for him. Now, I think these guys have played each other before, so maybe we'll see a little bit of mind games coming in here, which would be interesting. Both players are just going to go for one den. I'm assuming it's going to be one den expand, seeing as no one's thrown down anything odd yet. But I wonder if these guys are going to go to dragons. I think dragons are fairly popular at the moment still, so there's a good chance we will see that. It is in the favour of the meta. And with someone like Veni, he's a decent player, but he wants to be absolutely sure of his builds generally before he tries them out in a tournament. Like, he does, as much as I joke about it, he does take these fairly seriously. So I will be very surprised if we see him come out with a dropship build here. He could do, but I would be surprised. No one's found a strong dropship build just yet. And the two wolves are going to meet, have a little cuddle in the middle of the map here. I'm gonna hope they're both on attack move, otherwise someone's gonna be in for a bad day. And Veni actually deciding to move past, take a little skedaddle and find out what his opponent's going for. But it is going to be a mirror build for now. HeightN actually going to just go for the counter attack. So, but Yummy should be fine. His next wolf should pop out. So Veni's just going to get the scout. He's seen all he needs to see, and his wolf will regenerate any health. So there we go. Veni's got enough wolves in the main here. This attack, well, it's less of an attack, more of just a general poke in, kind of like Zerglings. But Veni, he's actually gone up to about 4 wolves. Interestingly, he's stopped. I'm not sure if that's... Oh, he's actually going to commit to these. Alright. So it looks like probably the same build as we saw Yummy go for, which is this one den expand into upgrades, and then from there, essentially playing passively enough that you can get into dragons. Because obviously dragons just kind of eat wolves, but you have to be careful. You can't rush dragons, they don't counter them that hard. Enough wolves is still a threat. And what's it going to be out of HeightN? It's actually going to be straight into dragons. Alright, HeightN not playing around. And you can see Veni's set up pretty defensively here, so Veni has, there we go, you see, he's going to go for a little bit of an attack, and he's got to know, he's got to keep himself aware, because if his opponent gets up to, he actually didn't expand, Because if his opponent gets up to dragons and gets them out on the map before the wolf, before Veni really knows and has anything to deal with it, Veni could be in a lot of trouble. Obviously the wolves on the ground could counterattack, but it does kind of put a timer on you. Veni's actually going to go around to the top hand side now and try and get the scout off, which he should do. He should see this coming. He's going to go for the dragon's lair of his own. So that's be about sort of 30 seconds, a minute delayed, which could cost him. Dragon vs Dragon is obviously super sketchy if you get one less dragon. But yeah, it should be okay. Should be for the moment. And there we go, HeightN going for the exact same scout pattern. And I don't think either player just yet, no confirmation of the dragon nest for either player. Both players actually doing a fantastic job of just denying these scouts over and over again. They're just always in position. Now, Dragon vs Dragon, which is the matchup we're going to see in a minute, it comes down a lot to almost passive micro, which is a weird way of saying it, but you've just got to make sure your dragons don't stack up, and yet at the same time get a good focus fire. So it's all about getting your dragons on top of the other person's dragons, as well as getting a good arc and a good concave, because you want to be able to easily just attack click and get focus fires. But if your attack click and your dragons start to stack up, they will take AoE shots. Dragons do have an AoE. Oh, Veni, oh, very nearly slipped past there. He's not got the scout off he just wants. He might actually get in through the front of the thing here. Oh, there we go. So Veni does actually get inside. The wolf shouldn't be able to block him in here. No, he went for it. And there we go. He does see the dragon's nest. He's seen all he wants to. Takes the hit. And he's going to back out immediately. He's actually going to end up attack moving. So yeah, he will lose this wolf for free. The damage that he does do is just going to be regenerated immediately. Double dragon's lair for both players. Veni is again a little bit behind. He does have +1 now, so that's going to help. And HeightN actually on top of his scouting as well, get a nice denial for the moment of that third base. I don't know about this third base. 2-base dragon is the norm because of essentially how much gold it costs. It costs a huge amount of gold. And HeightN actually right now with 11 wolves to 3. I didn't realise that Veni actually skipped out on so many, and he could be in a huge amount of trouble here. Veni actually is going to lose 1 wolf immediately on this third base. The worker's not going to be able to build this. Looks like HeightN's actually going to go for the counter attack. He's not going to, sorry, for the cancel on the third because of the forts here. He might be able to go into the main in the second, and this is a huge pickup for him. That's like Veni obviously invested a lot into that, skipped out on some things in the background. And HeightN's going to go for his own upgrades now. But obviously it is 0-0 versus the 1-0 of Veni. This third base is going to get cancelled, and obviously that ate a lot of time. So it allowed Veni to get his few more wolves out. I think he's still at a huge amount of risk at losing a lot in his natural. But that's the price he pays for trying to grab this super... There we go, the cancel goes down. The wolves are back out. So he's got 1-1 on his wolves and his dragons, which in a fight is really nice, especially at wolves, like a wolf engagement. But I don't know. I think having this many wolves on the ground though is so nice. We'll see how the engagement pans out. The upgrades for HeightN are going to start up in a minute, but obviously they're going to be pretty delayed. He wants to grab his own third base, but I think it's probably spreading himself a little bit thin at the moment. He's trying to get upgrades and a third base and dragons, which might not work out for him. Veni's going to once again attempt his third base, but now there's what? 11 wolves, 2 dragons are out on the map. Veni will scout this. There we go. He does scout the dragons. He knows the... So he knows they're there and he knows they're on top of his base, but he has nothing. He literally has no riflemen. His 2 dragons are going to pop out now. So HeightN has to be careful about this. But they're going to start losing damage. Oh, come on. HeightN's got to be really careful. And actually, Veni takes 2 hits before the engagement starts. HeightN's going to back off right now, but he's got wolves under this. Like, Veni has to make a decision. Do you defend against the wolves or the dragons? HeightN's actually going to go down once again, deny this 3rd base as soon as it tries to go up. Grabs his own 3rd base behind it. And HeightN's actually going to back off. This +1/+1 for Veni is pretty nice and might make a difference. He's actually going to pick up a bunch of wolves in the middle of the map, which is pretty sweet for him. But he's got to be careful. He does have to be very, very careful. Dragons is not a matchup you can just throw away damage on. And these wolves are looking for an opening. Like, he's scouted there's no 3rd. And they're trying to find an opportunity to get something done. It's now 1-1 for Veni, 0-0 for HeightN still. They're going to go up 1 upgrade apiece in just a moment. But right now, I like the position for HeightN. Obviously he's behind on upgrades and that kind of sucks for him. But he's going to have the faster 3rd base. He has way more wolves on the ground. Okay, so HeightN's wolf is just going to have to back out once again. These dragons are faster, so despite having to pause to attack, they will... Oh, no, they're not going to choose to. They're worried about being out of position, but they're not going to kill it, they're just going to chase it away. Veni actually still only on 1 wolves then, so playing a little bit more tech greedy as opposed to trying to actually get a ground force, but that's fair enough. Dragons on their own can win a game. It's just having that ground force beneath it is quite helpful. HeightN, again, he's so on top of his scouting this game. He's just everywhere. Veni should be able to get this 3rd now. It was denied a few times, but now there's wolves here, he should be alright. Both players, this is one of the strange facets of this matchup. Dragon Wolf is normally a super aggressive build. Like, you want to be counter-attacking, you want to be containing, you want to be doing damage. But in Wolf Dragon versus Wolf Dragon, you kind of want to be passive, which is counterintuitive, but it's one of those matchups where things can snowball pretty easily, and HeightN's actually going to lose possibly a few too many units out here. He's actually going to... Where's he going? Veni's focus fire isn't great, but HeightN should lose a few units here. There we go, 1 wolf goes down the back, some wolves are going to do some damage. I'm not sure where HeightN's going for this. Without dragon support, this doesn't really do much. HeightN actually skipping out on getting one of his batches of dragons. I guess just trying to invest in that 3rd base. But that cost him. He lost a huge amount of wolves there. You can see by the little death marks around that corner. And Veni's on 2-1 versus 0-1, so he's 2 attack upgrades up, which is huge. Like, especially in wolves, is massive. I'm not sure how much difference it makes on dragons, but I'm pretty sure it cuts out at least like 10 hits, being that far ahead. So that's pretty darn sweet. Oh. Two scouts are going to find each other on the bottom right hand side of the map. Veni just scouting out, and he's actually going to go for the move in right now. The sacrificial wolf getting picked up there. He's actually on 2-2 versus 1-1. HeightN's a little bit stacked, but Veni's actually really stacked as he moves on to this. Veni! Oh, he's got to be so careful. The focus fire actually goes down on not a stacked one. HeightN's units are stacked up, and he says GG. a bit of an abrupt and not particularly climactic ending, but HeightN sees just how far behind he was, and he will GG that game. So we're going to go into this up in the top right hand side, one game up in this best of 3 series on Overgrowth. It is going to be Veni. Down in the bottom left in the blue, it's going to be HeightN. I'm not sure, do you say HeightN or HeightN or just Height? I'm not sure. I'm not really sure how he wants that pronounced. He's actually going to go fast expand here. I don't know. I do not agree with that choice of build. It's a very, very greedy one, and I think it's going to get punished. And Veni actually looks like he's going to go with pretty much the same build again. There we go. There's the wolves then going down immediately. I'm a little bit surprised that he's not trying to make a choke with it, but it's fair enough. He's actually going to rush it out. This is like a pseudo-Marian build here. Actually, he's going to... Oh, okay. He's actually pulling 5 workers, which is unusual to say the least. And this is actually going to finish up before 1 minute, which is a little bit crazy. Just a little bit. I don't think I've ever seen a 1 minute wolves then, but that's going to have to be a build name all on its own. And that sort of super early aggression, I think it's just going to kill HeightN outright. There's very few build order wins in the war game, in my opinion anyway. Maybe there are, maybe there aren't. But I think going fast expand on a map with a really wide open choke versus a 1 minute den, yeah, that's kind of just going to get you killed. His Walker Micro might be good enough, but I think Veni is actually just going to straight up kill him here. I really, really think that's the case. Second wolf's about to pop out. Veni's... I assume he's just going to expand after this if the pressure doesn't work, because it doesn't look like he's going for a second den, but he's just going to pump wolves constantly here. And you can see how fast wolves build just at the little timer at the bottom. HeightN's going for the warlock now, but obviously there's this huge, huge space down at the bottom hand side. This warlock is not going to be enough. There we go. So the first wolf's going to come in right now. HeightN's actually playing super, super greedy in this tournament. I don't know why. He's seen some aggression in previous games, but he just doesn't scout. And the first wolf turns up now, arriving in his base at only 2 minutes. He's putting a bunch of workers to try and deal with this. Bet he can't do a huge amount of damage with the 1 wolf alone. But the second wolf is coming, third wolf's on the way, and fourth wolf is nearly out. And Veni will have to stop the aggression there. Sorry, after this fifth wolf. Because obviously he needs more supply, and he doesn't just want to invest more houses in it. He's going to get the expansion behind this. There we go, the expansion goes down. HeightN's actually got a little bit of a wall. He should be okay. Maybe. Like, which would be super surprising. He should not... there's no way you should, in theory, be ahead. Really, really close. Nearly got the surround there on those wolves. Oh, Veni's got to be careful. Gotta be careful. He's going to try and put a little bit more pressure on. Oh, we're being messaged. Oh my god. Alright, I'll sort that out in a minute. He's actually going to pick off 1 worker at the front. That's a pretty good start. HeightN actually out of position, in my opinion, trying to get this barracks up. Looks like the wolves are actually going to pick another... He's going to back off them now. HeightN's got to preserve this worker. He's actually bringing it to the front lines. That's a mistake. He's 2 workers up, which is a nice start. But obviously with 5 wolves here, you've got to be so careful. He loses the second one. He's only got 1 worker lead right now. Then he's doing such a good... It's so easy just to let your wolves get surrounded and killed here. He's actually going to pick up another worker. Workers are now even. And these wolves, not even a single one of them has died. Then he's got to be careful though. 1 wolf is now into red health. But he's got a pretty good concave on these workers. They're actually stuck in the bottom. HeightN's now going to pull the rest of his workers to try and deal with this. But he's actually going to lose another worker. And he actually chose to pop out a rifleman, which is a huge mistake in my opinion. Like, obviously you can clean up the odd wolf or 2, but rifleman trades so badly with wolves. He's actually now down to 6 workers versus 11. The Rifleman actually loses this fight. HeightN actually not microing his stuff very well, and this is gonna be it. I think Veni just quickly 2-0s him with this aggression. HeightN is okay. He's actually managed to keep popping out workers. So with these two bases, he has managed to clean these up, and he's got some workers left, but he's 4 workers behind off a fast expand. And Veni's gone 1, 2 expands. Double expand behind this. More wolves coming in. They shouldn't really get more kills, but they might do if HeightN's unlucky. But the thing is, the macro power that's going to come out of this in a couple of minutes, like once Veni actually starts translating these extra bases into more workers and more production, that's going to be brutal. Like, there's no way that HeightN's going to, or in theory, should be able to keep up with this. So Veni not going for any fancy nonsense. We said he wasn't going to mess around with dropships. He wasn't going to do anything too unorthodox. And the Rifleman here should push this away. Normally, obviously, you can pick up a Rifleman with your Wolf, but with this positioning, it's a little bit more difficult. The workers can defend it. And HeightN right now, he's just trying to recover, but he's just so far behind. Veni actually now, with 3 base worker production, he's actually just going to go into upgrades and pretty much go for his normal build. But his economy is so much better. He's going to have a huge economic lead. Okay, the wolves are just going to open up more pathing for the moment. Let's see. So yeah, Veni's just going for 3 worker production at once. He's actually just going to go into upgrades, and I'm not sure about upgrade wolf. Like, obviously it worked out okay for him when he transitioned into dragons in the last game, but I don't know, it's a bit of a weird style. I guess it's a lot more common now, but it's not something I see as much. I guess maybe it's just in the lower leagues that you don't see it as much. But obviously, with HeightN having so little here, wolves are going to be super cheap to produce. You can produce so many of them at once, and you stack up 2, 3 armor upgrades on a wolf. Riflemen do nothing. Just like, they do so little damage, and it is actually going to be an attack upgrade. All right, so more aggressive, more just going for the kill. Personally, I prefer armor upgrades. They're a little bit better, but I can understand going for attack upgrades, especially against something like a soldier. So, that's fair enough. I think that's still a pretty good decision. Veni actually doesn't have a massive worker lead yet. Surprisingly. Like, he's up... Actually, no, he's up 8. Sorry, I thought that was... I guess he just popped out a whole bunch at once or something, that... Just to say that... HeightN's actually going for a forge before second racks, which I understand the reasoning, trying to get back into the game with upgrades, but in reality, Veni's upgrades are going to be faster, and with 3 base economy, well, HeightN doesn't know he's got 3 base economy, he hasn't been able to leave his base all game, but this is going to be pretty brutal, I think. Veni's still not throwing down any extra production. There we go. Now the second wolves then comes down, like super late. There we go, there's the third one. So it looks like he was just going into the upgrades, and then he's just going to gear into just a huge overwhelming swell of wolves. He's got to be a little bit careful here, obviously just due to the positioning in the front of the base. There's not like that many gaps you can get in with, but that's fair enough. I'd love to see some elevation play out of Veni here. Just take a dropship here, hop some wolves into the main base, and just try and do some extra damage that way, but he's not going to do that. Veni's just playing super standard, essentially on the old patch sort of format right now. Not really seeing anyone going for dropships. Playing with a new unit is obviously a bit risky in tournaments, but that's fair enough. They're not here to satisfy me, they are here to win, to get the badges, the rankings, and the points, and of course the pride. Like, as much as I'd play in tournaments for the shiny badges, I know a lot of these guys don't. They're here for the pride. They're here to say, I am the best, and it's very hard to dispute that when they pick up several tournaments. in the case of people like Jibs and for a while Veni. He did have a little bit of a drop-off before. Essentially, he won a couple of early tournaments. He dropped off about sort of weeks 5 to 7. But he's coming back now. He's doing really well once again in tournaments. He's actually in the August Grand Finals, which that match is still pending. For whatever reason, these guys have not played the game out. They're going to hopefully try and play it today, I think. And either way, he's in a top 2 finish there. He's looking probably to have a pretty high finish in this tournament, so good to see Veni back on his stride. HeightN's going to have +1 here, but Veni's going to have +1/+1 at the same time, so this is actually going to be 4 dens, actually. Sorry, I didn't see the... Sorry, 5 dens. I didn't see the extra 2 dens popping down behind this. So, Veni possibly just toying with his opponent a little bit. A little bit overconfident. That could spell disaster for him later. We have seen people play a little bit overconfident against people they think are just bad. They don't really know very well. And then all of a sudden they just kind of die. And we have seen some upsets happen that way, but I think Veni's alright to be confident in this scenario. I would like to see him trade some health of those units, and then just regenerate it back up. That's a nice way to just secure yourself a little bit extra of a lead, but he's not going for it. I think, is he just going to max out on wolves? I guess he's just going to max out on wolves. He's just macroing a huge amount of wolves right now. He's actually got a supply box, which is a little bit unfortunate. But with 5 wolves at a time, that's just like 10 supply. You can get very, very quickly just max out on wolves, and it looks like he's going to be going up to about 35 wolves, which should be ridiculous. He needs to be a little bit careful though. Like, as much as Veni's macro is great, and he's going up to 4 bases already, and saying that he's won the game is pretty much a foregone conclusion, you do have to be a little bit careful. Because obviously soldiers are alright and they can trade fairly well, but despite that, I think this is one of those cases that even something like Mass Wolves is just going to work. Just he's got so much economy behind. HeightN's actually going to step forward, and that might be the brutal mistake. Veni's now going to go for it. The wolves all rush in. They're a little bit overstacked at the front here, but they start to slip in behind the soldiers. The soldiers get caught out. The right-hand flank does swing round. This isn't an awful position for HeightN. He just doesn't have enough. There's nowhere near enough units here for HeightN. All his soldiers are getting picked up at the front here. He's got 1-1 versus... Sorry, 0-1 versus 1-1. And there's so many wolves for Veni. Veni needs to split these wolves up a little bit, though. He needs to start picking off some of these buildings. And he's actually trading really badly at the front here. He's actually traded away, what, easily sort of 7 or 8 wolves already, just trying to break into this front. And this choke with the soldiers is going really, really well. This is why I said you have to be careful. Being overconfident isn't always safe. Obviously, there's a whole bunch more wolves coming out now. Veni's actually just macroing like a stupid amount of wolves then behind this. He's going to go up to, I think, 8 wolves then in the second here. Yep, 7 wolves then with 3 more on the way. He's actually going to go up to 10 wolves. And there we go. He finally breaks through, and this should be the engagement he's looking for. No longer does he have to trade inefficiently with those soldiers. He's going to get to the juicy rifleman behind. And I think this is going to be game. I'm sure you were all calling this beforehand on the quick third base, but I'm honestly surprised HeightN isn't pulling workers. He really kind of needs to do that already, because he's losing a lot of units. Veni's actually macroing. He's still on 30 wolves despite losing so many. I wish we had a lost units tab to just tell you how many hundreds of wolves have died here. But it's not a pretty number, I can tell you that. Yet more wolves forming in. There we go. The workers now being pulled to deal with 10 wolves now being macroed across the map, which is just a stupid number. But you can see, there we go. The soldiers are now cleaning up some of these wolves. HeightN is holding on. This is what I was saying. You can macro as well as you like, but Veni took an engagement in a really tiny choke. He didn't break down any other buildings. He didn't go for any innovation play. Mass wolves it, he's obviously got 2-2 Wolves versus 0-2, but I'm, he's not gonna lose. Like, he's on 4 bases already versus 2, and his macro is ridiculous, 10 Wolves at a time. But this is indicative of Veni just a little bit. He's playing a little bit overconfident, and if he finds someone a little bit better than HeightN, and he underestimates them again, he could very, very well just go down. He's now going to start trying to harass these buildings on the left-hand side. HeightN actually now has 10 soldiers. So, oh, but 10 soldiers are no good if you let the wolves get in. 10 soldiers can go sort of 1 to 2 with wolves, but not if you get a full surround like that. They're all getting cleaned up already. And Veni in a fantastic spot, a complete surround. He's actually going to leak into this mining section again. HeightN now trying to throw down a tower, but that's not going to work out for him. HeightN dropping down to 5 soldiers. Veni's maxed out on wolves right now. He's not even looking at any other tech. Not at dropships, not at mages, not at anything. He's just looking for more wolves. And HeightN's still holding on, but there we go. He says GG now. Veni takes it. And Veni does go 2-0. Not a surprise. A little bit surprising how he did it, but there we go. So we'll just update the bracket, and then we'll go into the next game in just a moment. So we only have actually a couple more matches to stream before the grand finals now.